Nikki Haley won 2.9 million votes in the primaries so far. If those and our Fox News voter analysis shows that somewhere between 5 and 10 and 6 and 10 of those Nikki Haley voters say they won't vote for Trump in November. If even a fraction of those voters deliver on that promise and stay home or vote third party or just split their votes or something, Trump loses.
So that's former President George Bush's speechwriter Mark Thiessen saying what the Trump campaign probably should be taking note of and trying to do some outreach to get those Haley voters back who claim they just can't bring themselves to vote for Trump this time around. Now, the Biden campaign has certainly been taking note of these voters, acting on that information, which I'm going to show you in just a second. But a reminder, Haley has not endorsed the former president, and there's little indication that she will. After all, here's what Trump said about her supporters. Quote, Nikki Bird Brain Haley is very bad for the Republican Party and indeed our country. Her false statements, derogatory comments, and humiliating public loss is demeaning to true American patriots. Her anger should be aimed at her third-rate political consultants and, more importantly, crooked Joe Biden and those that are destroying our country, not the people who will save it. I knew Nikki well. She was average at best, is not the one to take on world leaders, and she never did. That was up to me, and that is why they respected the United States. When I ran for office and won, I noticed that the losing candidates' quote donors would immediately come to me and want to quote help out. This is standard in politics, but no longer with me. Anybody that makes a quote contribution to Bird Brain from this moment forth will be permanently barred from the MAGA camp. We don't want them and will not accept them because we put America first and always will. So that decree from the former president has made it very clear, well, he doesn't want them and he may not get them. Now, right after Haley dropped out of the race, President Biden made a very direct appeal to Haley's voters, saying, quote, Donald Trump made it clear he doesn't want Nikki Haley's supporters. I want to be clear. There is a place for them in my campaign. I know there is a lot we won't agree on, but on the fundamental issues of preserving American democracy, on standing up for the rule of law, on treating each other with decency and dignity and respect, on preserving NATO and standing up to America's adversaries, I hope and believe we can find common ground. And then today, his campaign put this incredible new digital ad out, specifically targeting Haley's supporters.
Bird brain. I call it bird brain. Nikki Haley has made an unholy alliance with rhinos, never Trumpers, Americans for no prosperity. She was sitting there like...
She's gone crazy. She's a very angry person.
She is not presidential timber. I don't need votes. We have all the votes we need.
She's gone haywire.
There aren't that many never Trumpers anymore.
How do you bring these Nikki Haley voters back into the tent?
I'm not sure we need too many.
So next I want to show you what some former Trump voters and also Haley supporters are actually saying, but quickly what's going on with Haley's donors who seem to be backing Biden as well. So this from CNBC, quote, a few days after former South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley dropped out of the Republican presidential primary on March 6th, veteran media executive and Haley backer Harry Sloan got a call from movie mogul Jeffrey Katzenberg, who asked Sloan to help President Joe Biden take on Donald Trump in the general election. Sloan agreed to help raise money for Biden's re-election effort and try to reel in Republican-aligned business leaders to get behind the president. Quote, people I know who are generally business Republicans, they're going to hear from me about helping Biden. The former chair of MGM said that he has already reached out to some of the people in his Rolodex, and he plans to host a fundraiser for Biden later this year. Sloan is among at least half a dozen former Haley bundlers, people who raise exorbitant amounts of money for these candidates, who have decided to help Biden and not Trump since Haley ended her campaign, according to a source familiar with the effort who was granted anonymity to discuss private conversations. Okay, so all of a sudden, Trump isn't just losing Haley voters and doing less than nothing to try and court them, but he's losing her donors too. And that's pretty significant because Biden is already trouncing the former president in fundraising, where just last night, in one night, he had a fundraiser that raised more money than the entire RNC combined last quarter. He's getting killed in fundraising, and he's spending what campaign money he does have and does bring in on his legal woes.
Donald Trump has to ask for my vote back, generally speaking.
Good luck with that.
And
He's not going to do that. So what do you do?
Well, if he doesn't want my vote, then it's an academic question.
It isn't an academic because must have the thickest skull in the world. I don't know what the hell you're going to do. Are you going to not vote for Donald Trump?
Look, as I said,
he's not going to reach out to you. I doubt it. He might. But
look, if Donald Trump doesn't retract his statement about telling NATO nations, I'm going to tell Russia to do whatever the hell they want to you, there's no reason for me to vote for Donald Trump.
He's not going to retract that statement. And that's pretty significant and important for a lot of voters, particularly those voters who care about America and American interests and not the interests of our enemies.
Well, I voted for Nikki Haley because I was voting against Donald Trump.
And what propelled you to get to this point?
I'm 74 years old. I've lived in a constitutional democracy all my life. I want to remain that way, and I want my grandchildren to grow up in one, not a dictatorship.
And I'm curious, over the last two elections, have you voted Trump in the past? Was it something where you voted for him, you trusted him, and you were disappointed?
Yes, I voted for him in 2016. I am a registered Republican.
And more Haley supporters are starting to see this.
What made you switch from Trump to Nikki Haley?
The man is a lunatic, and I think he's terrible for the country.
What are you thinking about when you say that?
Just that he lies, he cheats, he's bankrupted millions of businesses and people, and I don't see anything good about him.
I also see nothing good about the former president. We have that in common, and may that unite us in supporting Biden in November. Now, the even bigger problem comes in when former Trump supporters are now starting to abandon him, even if ever so slightly. Again, just a small percentage of the former Trump supporters or Haley voters need to peel away in order for Biden to wrap this election up.
The greatest, most immediate threat is to the democracy. We can survive 4 years of Biden. I don't know if we can survive 4 years of Trump. Hi, I'm Matt. I'm from Oklahoma. I'm a registered Republican, and I did vote for Trump. It wasn't the best decision I think I've ever made. In fact, I think it's one of my poorest decisions I've ever made, but that was the decision made. I got to own it. The scariest thing about his second Trump term is that there will be no guardrails. And he's already insinuated things that he would do, things that would be threatening to our democracy at home, threatening to our power in terms of global standing, economic, political, military. I think we may be witnessing, if we don't check ourselves, the death knell of our democracy.
So you have slivers of Trump supporters who voted for him in 2016, voted for him in 2020. By the way, Liz Cheney is one of those people. She supported him in both 2016, then 2020. Then finally decided to throw in the towel after he tried to violently overthrow the country. But you have a small contingency of these people who say, yeah, you know what? Him trying to violently stage a coup and then praising our enemies and giving them the green light to rampage through Europe is probably just a bridge too far for us. And then you have the Haley voters. And that's where Biden is making a real play to not just court her donors, where he's been very successful thus far, but because Nikki hasn't endorsed Trump yet, and God willing, she will not. Trump's own words and actions against those voters and supporters may come back to bite him in the ass. And that doesn't even take into account the problems he has with Ron DeSantis supporters, who Trump still calls DeSanctus.
What's your final message, though, to the kind of Trump supporters out there, to those who are still in MAGA? What do you say to them?
Well, there's really not much I can say because there is a cult-like thing going on here. But all I can say is what I've already said. It's like, guys, it's okay to be on the other side of it. Look, I'm having a conversation with Ben Meiselas here. I mean, it's okay to be on the other side and admit that you were conned. Listen, if grifting was an art, Trump would be Picasso. If grifting was music, Trump would be Mozart. Donald Trump is a grifting prodigy. He has superhuman abilities to pull the blinds over people's eyes. So if you were taken by him, if you were had by him, don't feel bad about it. I'm a smart guy. A lot of people were. And it's okay to admit that you were wrong, move on, and there's freedom and joy on the other side. Guys, it's okay to leave MAGA. You're going to be okay. It doesn't make you a traitor to America.
So that's an interview Midas Touch just did with one of DeSantis's top supporters who supported Trump twice, who's abandoning Trump now. Because for some, the grift is up and people have learned their lesson. Took quite a bit of time for them to get there, maybe a little bit too much time. But some people are there and we welcome them arriving at that conclusion. We want them in our camp now, right? The only thing that's unacceptable in November is Trump winning. So hopefully the number of people who have learned that lesson, who have been scorned by the former president, who are shocked and appalled by his disgusting behavior, who just can't take the side of him selling $60 Bibles while encouraging a fascist to invade Europe, is enough to put Biden over the top. Either way, the Biden campaign seems to be making all the right moves right now. They're well funded. They're taking Haley's top donors, and his arms are wide open for her voters too. With Really American, I'm Justin Horwitz. Be sure to like, subscribe, set notifications. We've got so much planned going into this important election year, and we really cannot do it without you. Thanks so much.